Good day everyone. Welcome to Guide to and Self-Awareness subject. So today we will be discussing about self-image. Kindly refer to the concept notes that I've provided for you to be guided as we go along with our discussion. Okay, let's start by defining what self-image is. So to put it in simpler terms, self-image is what you truly feel about yourself. So if I'm going to ask you, how do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as someone who's doing well on everything you do? Do you see yourself as someone who can overcome challenges easily? Do you see yourself as someone as a loser or as a happy and contented person? As you can see, we have different views on how we feel about ourselves. May it be a positive or a negative one. And as we have this impression towards ourselves of who we are as a person, little did we know that it is slowly embedded into our minds as if it's being programmed, and that can affect of how we feel about ourselves, and that is our self-image. Well, you see, it's very important to have this practice of saying positive things to our own selves. Because again, the more we appreciate of what we have, accept ourselves, and have this mindset that there are things that we're capable of doing, then it can help produce a desirable self-image, because that's how the power of mind works. But how is self-image formed? It can be from our environment, meaning from the people around us, or it can be from our own experience of self. Let's start off by how other people can affect our self-image. It's very crucial on how people treat us during our early stages in life up until now. Our experiences with these people could greatly affect in forming our self-image. A good example here is when the family treats a particular child negatively, such as saying bad things like, you're not good enough, you can't never do things properly, or kanang words like, bulok jud ka, di jud ka makamao, like that, no? Words like that can somehow give an impact to the child as he grows up. It's up to the child how he sees these experiences, no, among with those people as a positive or negative one. Next, our self-image can be formed through our own experiences of self. For example, if you're someone who's always have these negative experiences like a series of failures, then it can affect your self-image. In most cases, you'll tend to doubt yourself, question your existence, and would feel negatively towards yourself. In contrast with that, if you always have these positive experiences happening to you, then most likely it can create also a positive self-image of yours. Now, there are three types of self-image: the negative self-image, inflated or glorified or bloated self-image, and realistic self-image. Let's start with negative self-image. So, what are its characteristics? First, sees himself negatively. If he acknowledges any positive traits, he immediately adds but, thus neutralizing or diminishing the positive. His attention is drawn to his limitations and deficiencies rather than his assets, and often considers himself insignificant to those around him. So kindly assess now yourself if you're the kind of person that have these characteristics. Do you often say negative things to yourself? Or don't you like appreciate your positive aspects as a person? Or do you feel insignificant with the people around you? So that's the major characteristics of having a negative self-image. So where does this negative self-image originate? As you can see on the slide, our childhood years play an important role in molding one's self-image. So if during your younger years, you were able to experience a lot of comparisons or being pointed out by your failures or shortcomings from your family or anyone you've grown up with, then this can affect your self-image. Even at this stage of your life, if you are currently experiencing a lot of negative feedbacks from the people around you, instead of having the support or motivation from them, what you get most of the time is negativity, then most likely it can lead you to a negative self image. Like, we cannot blame someone having a negative self image if from the first place that person is being surrounded with people that lack of support. Another thing also, negative self image can originate from a failure or series of failures in life. The person tends to question his capabilities if he can experience a big failure, no, in his life. So in that unpleasant experience alone, a lot of thoughts might across to a person's mind, and one of this is having a negative self-image. So here are the consequences of having a negative self-image. A person lacks confidence because he finds nothing to rely on in himself, and his failures, limitations, and faults never surprise him. And there's a part of his personality that seems to expect these negative experiences will surely happen to him. As for the cure of having a negative self-image, this is not as easy as what we think. No, curing a negative self-image takes a very slow process. You cannot simply tell someone to shift his self-image. No, as for a person dealing with a negative self-image, the first step to do is to accept his condition and practice more of having self-awareness. Because if we have an increase of self-awareness, we are more capable of understanding ourselves that yes, we do have our limitations as a person, but this doesn't mean that we don't have any positive aspects at all. People having a negative self-image must also review his previous experiences and trace what might be the cause why he has this negative self-image. In some cases, you might discover that a specific person might have caused this negative self image of yours. The possible thing you can do is have a talk with that person and express your concerns or issues with them. If you're not open to have an open forum with them, then you can opt for forgiving that person and learn to move forward and move on. Now, I know that these processes are very difficult to do, but if you're someone who decides to change your negative self-image, then there's nothing wrong if you start by having these small steps. It doesn't necessarily need to have huge progress at a short span of time.